Hello students, welcome back to our Science and Technology digital class. We have already started with lesson number 1, Heredity and Evolution. Let's begin with the next part of the lesson. Just have a quick recap. We have learnt about definition of heredity, central dogma, transcription, translation, translocation and mutation. I hope you all must have read all these things from the textbook and have written all these important points in your notebook. Let's begin with the next part. What is evolution? Evolution is the gradual change occurring in living organisms over a long duration. This is very slow going process through which development of organism is achieved. All the stages in changes occurred in various components ranging from stars and planets in space to the biosphere present on the earth should be included in the study of evolution. So what is evolution? Formation of new species due to changes in specific characters of several generations of living organisms as a response to natural selection is called as evolution. So students, it is believed that human beings are evolved from monkeys, but it has not happened in one day. It took crores of years to get gradual changes. Humans were not the first animal on the earth. Then who were they? All this we will learn in theories of evolution. Just mark this definition of evolution on page number 3. Next we are going to see the evolution of life on the earth. 3.5 billion years ago, life had been non-existent on the earth. At the beginning, there may have been only simple elements in the oceans on the earth, and simple type of organic and inorganic compounds may have been formed from those. Complex compounds like proteins and nucleic acids may have formed over the long period from those simple compounds. First primitive type of cells may have been formed from the mixture of different types of organic and inorganic compounds. Number of those cells may have increased at the cost of surrounding chemicals. There may have been some differences among those cells, and according to the principle of natural selection, some may have shown good growth and some may have perished which could not adjust with the surrounding. So just observe here the picture. 3.5 billion years ago, it is believed that first organisms which were there on the earth, that is, they were the bacteria. According to this theory, first living material, protoplasm, has been formed in ocean. In due course of time, unicellular organism was formed. Gradually, changes occurred in the unicellular organisms, from which larger and more complex organisms were formed. All those changes were slow and gradual. Duration of all these changes is at most 300 crore years. Changes and development in living organisms had been all round and multidimensional, and this led to evolution of different types of organisms. Hence, this overall process is called as evolution, which is organizational. Progressive development of plants and animals from the ancestors having different structural and functional organization is called as evolution. So, all this has been shown over here. Evidence of evolution. Many of you asked what evidence there is for evolution. The short answer is that there is a lot of evidence that supports the theory of evolution. That's why it is called a theory and not a hypothesis. There is evidence of evolution in homologous structures, embryology, DNA evidence, and fossils. We will examine each of these in more detail today. First evidence we are going to see is the morphological evidence. Morphology means study of body's external characters. Just observe the picture over here. Just observe the similarities between the given animal images and plant images. What similarities do you see in the animal images? Yes, the structure of mouth, position of eyes, structure of nostrils, ear pinna, thickly distributed hairs on the body are seen in the animals. And in plants, you can see leaf shape, leaf venation, leaf petiole, etc. This indicates that there are some similarities in those groups, and hence it proves that their origin must be same and must have common ancestors. Next we are going to see is the anatomical evidences. Anatomy means study of internal organs or structures of the body. Just observe the slide now. You can see here the human hand, cat's foreleg, flipper of the whale and bat's patagium. Homologous structures are anatomical resemblances between organisms that represent variations on a structural theme that was present in a common ancestor. Now students, if you carefully observe the pictures, there doesn't seem any superficial similarity between human hand, cat's foreleg, flipper of whale and patagium of bat. Similarly, use of each of those structures is different in respective animals. However, there is similarity in structure of bones and bony joints in organs of each of these animals. This similarity indicates that these animals may have common ancestors. Next we are going to see about vestigial organs. What is meant by vestigial organs? Degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of organisms are called as vestigial organs. Just observe here the picture. Appendix, which is useless to human, is useful and fully functional organ in ruminants. Then ear muscles, tailbone, that is coccyx, wisdom teeth which are present in our mouth, all these are vestigial organs. Degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of organisms are called as vestigial organs. In living organisms, sudden development of new tissues or organs for living in changing environment is not possible. Instead, existing organs undergo gradual changes. Mostly, a specific structure in the body is useful under certain situation. However, same structure under different situation may become useless or even harmful. Such structure begins to degenerate under such situation as per the principle of natural selection. It takes thousands of years for a structure to disappear. Such organs are seen in different phases of disappearance in different animals. Such organ, though non-functional in certain organism, it may be functional in other organism. That is, it is not vestigial in other organisms. So students, appendix which is present in our body is useless to human, but it is useful and fully functional organ in ruminants. Now what is meant by ruminant? Ruminants are the animals like cows, buffalo, bullocks have a specialized stomach for fermentation, which requires that they chew and regulate and chew their food again and again. We humans are not ruminants, and so appendix is useless in our body but useful in ruminants. Similarly, muscles of ear pinna, which are useless to humans, are useful in monkeys for movement of ear pinna. Same like it, tailbone, that is coccyx, and wisdom teeth, and the body hairs which are present in on our body are vestigial organs. Just write down all this in your notebook. Degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of organisms are called as vestigial organs. In living organisms, sudden development of new tissues or organs for living in changing environment is not possible. Instead, existing organs undergo gradual changes. So these are few examples of vestigial organs: appendix, ear pinna, tailbone, that is coccyx, and wisdom teeth. Next we are going to see about the next evidences about fossils. Just observe the picture over here. A question may arise in your mind that which organisms existed millions of years ago? How can we tell this? Now this secret has been hidden in the earth. Large number of organisms get buried due to disasters like flood, earthquake, volcano, etc. Remnants and impressions of such organisms remain preserved underground. These are called as fossils. Study of fossils is an important aspect of study of evolution. So, study of fossils is known as paleontology, and the branch, so we are going to see now next is paleontological evidences. Fossil facts. Fossils are the remnants of past life on the earth. Traces of prehistoric animals and plants are preserved in sedimentary rock, amber, and ice. A fossil is the imprint or remains of something that lived long ago. Fossils have also been found in amber, that is hardened tree sap. So, fossils form the paleontological evidences. Paleontological evidences suggest that invertebrates came into existence before the vertebrates. A systematic study of fossils and its occurrence revealed that the deepest layer of land were found to have fossils of invertebrates. In layers above them were found vertebrates such as fish like animals, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. This suggests that invertebrates came into existence before the vertebrates. Just observe the picture which is also given on page number 6, figure 1.8. Structures of ground level and fossils. So according to paleontological evidences, invertebrates were evolved on this earth first, earlier, then the Pisces, then amphibia, then reptiles, then the aves and mammals, that is birds and mammals. So humans or mammals were the last animal which have been evolved on the earth. In case of dead bodies of plants and animals, instead of remaining constant, the ratio between C14 and C12 changes continuously, as C12 is non-radioactive. So carbon consumption of animals and plants stops after the death, and since then only the decaying process of C14 occurs continuously. So by carbon dating method, the age of fossil can be determined by the technique. So it has become easy to deduce the information about other erstwhile organisms. So this shows that vertebrates have been slowly originated from invertebrates. Next part we are going to see about connecting links. What are connecting links? Some plants and animals show some morphological characters by which they can be related to two different groups. They are called as connecting links. Just observe here the picture. This picture shows some animals which are showing the connecting links between the two groups. These animals are duck-billed platypus, which is showing the connecting link between the reptiles and mammals, lungfish, which is showing the connecting link between fishes and amphibia, peripatus, which is showing the connecting link between annelida and arthropoda. So connecting links provide the evidence for the path of evolution and lie midway between the two groups, that is, they have features of both the groups of organisms. Such animals indicate transitional forms of organic evolution. Just observe here the picture of lungfish, which is the connecting link between the fishes and amphibia. Now next we are going to see about the connecting link between duck-billed platypus. It is the connecting link between the reptiles and mammals. Just observe the picture. So this is duck-billed platypus. So duck-billed platypus is a connecting link between reptiles and mammals. It lays eggs like reptiles but shows relationship with mammals too due to presence of mammary glands and hairs. Next we are going to see about embryological evidences. Embryology. Embryology is the study of formation and development of an embryo and fetus. So it is also a branch of biology. Just observe the picture. Here the developing embryos of various animals are shown, like fish, salamander, tortoise, chicken and human. These developing embryos, if you see in early stage, all these developing embryos look similar. In second stage, that is in mid stage, embryo of fish and salamander are similar and other three are similar. And in third stage, that is in mature embryo, we can see the differentiation. So this shows that similarities in initial stages indicate the common origin of all these animals. They all have common ancestors. Next we are going to see about Darwin's theory of natural selection. Charles Darwin, just look at the picture, had collected innumerable specimens of plants and animals and had, depending upon the observations of those specimens, he published the theory of natural selection, which preaches the survival of fittest. For this purpose, Darwin had published a book titled Origin of Species. So, this is Charles Darwin. His famous book is Origin of Species and he is known for theory of natural selection. Now just look at the main points of Darwin's theory of natural selection. According to Darwin, overproduction. Most organisms produce more offsprings than can survive. Second one is competition. Organisms compete in between them for food and resources. Third one is variation. There is variation among individuals of a species. And fourth point is adaptation. Individuals with traits best suited to the environment will survive. So, according to Darwin, the fittest is going to survive. Next, we are going to see about Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. He was the first scientist to propose a mechanism for how organisms change. His theory is known as theory of change through use and disuse. Through time, a generation would use an organ more than previously and would pass those traits on to their offsprings. According to Lamarck, in living organisms, the morphological changes are responsible for evolution, and reason behind those morphological changes is activities or laziness of that organisms, which he called as use or disuse of organs. Further, he said that neck of giraffe has become too long due to browsing on leaves of tall plants by extending their neck for several generations. Similarly, the wings of birds like ostrich and emu have become weak due to no use. So just observe here picture that earlier giraffes were not that much tall, but as they have stretched their neck, the whatever the offsprings or the giraffes were produced in the next generations were with long necks. So this Lamarck's theory of evolution is also known as Lamarckism or theory of acquired characters. So in order for an organism to evolve a structure, it must need the structure. If an organism continues to use a particular structure, it will continue to evolve. If not, use the structure will degenerate and disappear. If an organism acquires a characteristic, it can pass this characteristic on to its offsprings. So, living organisms can transfer the characters which it has acquired to the next generation, and this is called as ancestry of acquired characters or Lamarckism. Next we are going to see as speciation. What is speciation? Formation of new species. One or more new species from the pre-existing species is called as speciation. New species are developed mainly by isolation and variation. Species is the group of organisms that can produce fertile individuals through natural reproduction. Each species grow in specific geographical conditions. Their food, habitat, reproductive ability and period is different. However, genetic variation is responsible for formation of new species from earlier one. Besides, geographical and reproductive changes are also responsible. Similarly, geographical or reproductive isolation also leads to speciation. Just mark all this on page number 9, first paragraph. That is speciation. Now next we are going to see about human evolution. The biodiversity that is known today has been said to be formed from very simple unicellular organisms due to evolution. In this evolution, origin of human evolution can be shown by the given picture. Just observe the picture over here. Last dinosaurs disappeared approximately 7 crore years ago. At that time, monkey-like animals are said to be evolved from some ancestors who were more or less similar to the modern lemurs. Tail of these monkey-like animals of Africa is said to be disappeared about 4 crore years ago. They developed due to enlargement in brain. Their hands were also improved and thus ape-like animals were evolved. Meanwhile, these ape-like animals reached the South and Northeast Asia and finally evolved into gibbon and orangutan. Remaining ape-like animals stayed in Africa, and from them gorilla and chimpanzee evolved about 2.5 crore years ago. So, chimpanzees are earlier than the humans. Evolution of some of the 2 crore year old species of apes seems to be occurred in different way. They had to use their hands more for eating and other work. Those apes started to live on land as the forest started to decline due to dry environment. Their lumbar bones developed in such a way that they started to stand in erect posture in grasslands, and thereby their hands become available for use anytime. These first human like animals with erect posture, which were using their hands, have evolved about 2 crore years ago. First record of human like animals is with us in the form of Ramapithecus ape from East Africa. Just mark all this on textbook page number 9, last paragraph. Afterwards, this ape grown up in size and became more intelligent, and thus the ape of South Africa evolved about 40 lakh years ago. The morphology of these human like animals started to appear like to be the member of genus Homo about 20 lakh years ago, and thus skilled human developed. About 15 lakh years ago, human walking with erect posture was evolved. It may have existed in China and Indonesia of Asian continent. So just observe the picture here. You can see here the journey of human evolution. Now the next part is development of human brain. Now students, as all of you know that humans are the most intelligent animals on this earth. Evolution of upright man continued in the direction of developing its brain for the period of about 1 lakh years, and meanwhile it discovered the fire. Brain of 50,000-year-old man had been sufficiently evolved to the extent that it could be considered as the member of class, that is wise man, which is known as Homo sapiens. Just refer textbook page number 10, second paragraph. Neanderthal man can be considered as the first example of wise man. Just observe here the picture. The Cro-Magnon man evolved about 50,000 years ago, and afterwards this evolution had been faster than the earlier. About 10,000 years ago, wise man started to practice the agriculture. It started to rear the cattle herds and established the cities. Cultural development took place. Art of writing was invented about 500 years ago, and thus the history had been started. Modern sciences emerged about 400 years ago, and industrial society was established about 200 years ago. And now we have reached at this stage, and still we are searching the details of the roots of human ancestry. So students, here we have finished with our human evolution and evolution of life on the earth. So just have a quick recap what we have learned today. We have learned today about evolution, various evidences of evolution, Darwin's theory of natural selection. We have learnt about Lamarckism, speciation and human evolution. I hope you all must have understood all this part and all will read this part from the textbook thoroughly. So, students, read the lesson thoroughly, mark the important points in the textbook, write the important points from the video also. Thank you.